Hello.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So welcome to the first episode of the Leavetaking Storytelling Initiative. Um, my name is Collin, and would you like to quickly introduce yourself?
Yep, my name is Mira, and I'm from Istanbul, Turkey. I'm a senior now, and I'm studying environmental engineering. That's the quick intro.
Yeah. So as I said before, my name is Colin. I'm a senior from Seoul, South Korea. I'm studying computer science, and yeah, we're very excited to be able to start this. Basically, the point of this podcast is to kind of provide a platform where people who have taken a leave can just come out and just share what their experience was like, because I feel like this is something that many people do not talk about or are not very aware of, and so this just provides a space for people to share what they did, encourage people who may be thinking about it but are a little bit afraid to, or just feel any type of way about it, and hopefully nudge them in a direction. But basically, it's just to have fun and just share stories. So yeah, with that, or do you have anything else to add to that, Mira?
I think that was a pretty good introduction as to what we want to do. Obviously, also this is episode one, right? So we'll see how it goes. We'll see maybe how this transforms even further. But for now, yeah, it's just basically like you're listening to two friends talk about what they did with their time off. So, yeah,
Yeah. So with that, maybe I can ask the first question.
go for it.
So you're a senior now, and so you're graduating the class 24.
Yes.
Can I ask, like, when you took your leave? How long was your leave?
Yep. So I took my leave when, in 2019. So COVID hit, we were sent home, and then school asked us if we would like to come back or if we would like to do it remotely or if we would like to take a leave.
Yeah.
And initially, I was really convinced. Like, I didn't even think about the possibility of taking a leave. I was like, okay, definitely, I'm gonna go back. But then I talked to a friend and he had said that he was considering taking a leave. And I was like, huh, that sounds like a pretty good idea. And I think we had like a few hours left to the deadline of, we had to decide, are we going to come back or are we going to leave? And I said, you know what, let me take a chance and let me, take a year off. And that's so it was kind of like a spontaneous decision, but I do think like there were some things about freshman year that was really like hard, I guess, like getting
Yeah.
used to it and whatever.
Yeah.
And then just as we were like getting used to things, COVID happened, and then things were remote, and that was kind of weird,
Yeah.
going through
100%.
classes on Zoom. And I was super excited. I was taking like art and theater,
Yeah.
and I'm an engineer. We don't always get to do things like that.
Yeah.
And then suddenly we had to do like toilet paper projects for my art class, and then it
Uh-huh.
wasn't as fun anymore. So yeah, I decided to take a leave. I didn't really know what I was gonna do with my leave, but I also kind of wanted to. I knew that I didn't want to stay home. I wanted to like go explore, and so I just had to like start kind of thinking about what I wanted to do with so much time off. Um, yeah, but that's basically the story of how I decided to take a leave.
Yeah. I remember kind of the events leading up to us getting kicked out. So when I got kicked out, I was a sophomore, so I was a freshman in 2018. We got kicked out in 2019, and I remember distinctly. It's like one like because COVID started happening in like end of December, and like that was kind of the first news, but like it wasn't really a thing in the U.S. And I remember when we came back after winter break, um, I had a upperclassman who somehow kind of knew what CPACs and like the internal office was thinking about COVID. She
Mm,
had overheard from someone else that Brown may potentially close within the next week or so. So this is
wow,
like late February at this point.
I see.
Um, and I think that was when like the news of like when I think Cornell and like maybe Columbia, like they started kicking people out, and so like it was a matter of time before Brown did too. And I remember they gave us like 72 hours to like leave.
It was
It
horrible.
was crazy.
I think they gave us like, I don't know the exact number of days now, but they had initially said like, let's say 10 days, and then next email was like, oop, never mind, actually guys, leave now.
Yeah.
And so that was, I remember we were working on a project and we were still expected to finish that project.
Yeah,
Like
me
my
too.
friend,
Yeah.
we had our final project presentation and he rushed to the airport after presenting. Like it was
Oh my god.
absolutely hectic and crazy. Like,
That's crazy. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, but like it was such a weird time because like I had my sophomore slump, I think. And I was not motivated to finish because back then it was called CS16 and not CS20.
I see.
But I was working on that project and I was like not ready to have it. I remember going to like grad center to like quickly look for boxes to pack up all my stuff, and it was really annoying because like I had this bike that I bought and it was still in decent condition. I mean, like the tire I think kind of got ripped up, but like I didn't want to just throw it away, but like I couldn't really find anyone in like that amount of time to sell it, so it was kind of rough. And plus I think when COVID first started, Korea was like the second country to get hit, and so it was actually unsafe. It was less safe to go back home than to stay here. So it was kind of a weird spot that I was put in. Yeah, and like there was the whole like Facebook group for like international students, who like needed support.
That's true. And like even finding flights, I remember one of my friends, she was Swiss, and there's like just very few flights leaving to Switzerland or something, and so she had to like pack immediately. And then I don't know, we also decided to store our things together, 6 people, and I was the one who left last, so it was like up to me. It was horrible. It was horrible. I had to like carry like 3 mini fridges, and then like yeah, those like I feel like 3 days or 2 days or whatever, when it was all like, it was decided that we had to go home, you have to book a flight, you have to pack, but also you're expected to finish your project on time, and then you don't know what's going on, you don't know where you're going home, and it was just rough. But yeah, kind of crazy. It feels like very long ago, but also not really.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's still very vivid in my mind, and I don't know, I think there's a part of it where I'm still a little bit nostalgic, because back then we didn't know anything about it, and we thought it would just be like, I don't know, like spring break early.
Yeah, that's true.
But I remember canceling my spring break plans too, so that was really rough. Like I was supposed to go to Europe, and I was so excited because I never went to Europe, but we canceled everything. It was really sad. Yeah, so I mean, it sounded like you took your leave because, I mean, you weren't expecting to take a leave, but I mean, I feel like what happened in the world kind of made that easier, like made that process easier.
I think so. And honestly, like, I don't think I would have considered taking a leave if it wasn't for COVID, but I don't think I took it just because of COVID. So that's like definitely, I think partially it was because like even deciding to study engineering, like I didn't know what I wanted to study. I thought I was going to do engineering, but that was because I didn't really have like a burning passion for anything else in engineering. I was like, that's probably going to be okay. You know, I think I like it enough to stick with it. But I like the hands-on portion of it. And so when like COVID happened and our classes became literally just on Zoom, that wasn't what I liked. I don't like necessarily, you know, I don't wake up saying, oh, let me do some integration. But I do like the let's cut up some wood, let's put things together type of things. And so I realized that like Brown was challenging as it is, and if I don't get to do the fun things in my like program, and I have to do the things that I really don't like for a year, I didn't think I was going to be happy with it. And so, yeah, I thought honestly it would also be a good break. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was basically like an accumulation. I just kind of felt that I had to take a leave first, and then I made my reasonings to go with it. Yeah. And I was lucky in the case that like my parents were super chill with me taking a leave. The only thing that they, I guess, didn't want me to do is like make a rash decision, which I did. But then I was like, guys, no, I know what I'm doing. So then I guess they just had to trust me with what I was doing. But yeah, so I ended up taking a leave, and then I think for me, you're taking a year off, this is a really long time that you're taking, and I think I just wanted to figure out what I wanted to do, like a rough idea of how I wanted to spend my time. And my dad's side of the family is German, and like I grew up speaking German in my house, but then obviously we live in Turkey and you can't keep that up after a certain point. So, but I used to think like my mother tongue is still German, but I just didn't speak it that much anymore. So I really wanted to move to Germany so I could I'm forced to only speak German and I can improve it and I can improve my vocabulary, especially because I felt like I spoke like a 10-year-old child, but I was 18, you know.
I know what you mean.
So yeah, and then it was just like a lot of job searching, but and then it worked out. I guess I kind of figured out that I wanted to be in Munich, and then my easiest strategy was like, okay, Munich, what is there in Munich? What's the biggest company that has like the most jobs available so I don't have to do that many job applications?
Yeah.
BMW. Okay, cool. Let's do, like, I think I did 36 applications to BMW Munich.
Yeah.
Got rejected from 35. One of them gave me an interview,
Nice.
and then it worked out. And so I moved.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, I moved to Germany for, I stayed there for like 8-9 months.
By yourself?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
that was kind of crazy. Like, I think my internship started in January, and when I first got there, it was so bad because, well, COVID was still peak and we weren't allowed to do anything. And so the only thing I did was like go to work and then come home and like go on walks. But it's January and in Germany and it's cold and there's nothing to do. So that was also like a rough getting used to things.
Yeah.
Especially you don't know anybody in the city, and that's kind of hard at first. But it was like a good kind of challenge, you know, getting out of my comfort zone. So I always think of that year as my, like, growing up. I have to cook for myself.
Yeah.
I have to learn how to cook. And if I don't go grocery shopping, Sundays the grocery stores are closed. Then you're just, like, hungry. So I had to, like, become more of an adult, which I think I wasn't that responsible when I first came to Brown. And so coming back, like, I was able to use the skills that Germany taught me and integrate it to my life at Brown. And I think that made me feel more ready than I was as a freshman.
Right.
You know?
Wait, okay, wow. So how old were you when you decided to move by yourself?
19.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, okay, to be fair, I did have family in Germany, and I thought, you know, worst case, I can count on them. Turns out I didn't even see them once the entire time I was there, because, like, the borders were closed, and then I made friends, and then, you know, extended family kind of got forgotten about. But it was cool. It was also, like, a culture shock thing, which I enjoyed. I'd never lived there. I'd been there often, but always with my family.
Yeah.
And also, like, the nice part about being in Europe, I guess, is you get to see a different system. Like, now I had seen, obviously, how Turkey operates. I had a little bit of exposure as to how the U.S. operates. And I, like, made friends in Germany who were doing, like, who were working there or who were studying. It was just cool to see different perspectives, you know? Also for the future, because it's an option that I had in mind. Like, I have a citizenship. It's very likely that I'm going to end up in Europe after college. So I was like, okay, this is probably like a little, like, this is giving me a little glimpse of how my life might look like if I choose to end up here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so it sounded like it really worked out for you.
It did. Yeah, that's true. I think initially I didn't know what I was going to do. But I think I also wouldn't have loved it if I had to stay home with my
100%.
parents.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's weird, right? Did you have that same experience where you go to college and then you're kind of adulting, right? And you make your own rules and you have your own, like, I don't know, freedom to make your decision. And then you come home and then you have to, and you want to respect your parents and your family members is like, I don't know, the way the house works. You know, they have dinner at that time. Let's join them at the dinner table. But that wasn't how it used to be in, like, when you're in college.
Right.
So then, again, like, coming back and having to get used to that felt very restricting.
Yeah.
Kind of. I was like, oh, I didn't do this. Like,
Yeah.
now I'm suddenly expected to do this again. I don't think I like this. I think that's what also was a good, like, I was like, okay, I need to leave so I can gain some independence.
Right. Yeah. 100%. I mean, it was, yeah, for me, so I took 2 years off. And I think in regards to what you asked, it's weird just because, like, I think you're right, because like, the only time I lived away from home was when I came to Brown as a freshman. And I think the difference was, like, I mean, my first year, I didn't feel like I was, like, I never felt like I was, like, restricted by my parents at all. And I think I appreciate them a lot for doing that, because I know that sometimes, like, if you grow up a little bit, more, like, controlled and, like, kind of, like, there's, like, a hovering mom kind of, like, vibe. I know a lot of, like, it's a tendency for people to, like, kind of break out of that more once they do find independence. I don't know, like, I never felt like it was that bad for me, which I'm grateful for. But 100%, like, and especially in Korea, just because with COVID there, it was super, super restrictive. Like, it wasn't just your parents, it was, like, the entire government kind of restricting what you're doing. For the longest time, like, when I was in quarantine, we were required to keep our location on at all times.
Wow.
And sometimes my phone bugged out, and so I had people from, like, the district office, like
Wow.
government employees, like, come to check that I was still at home. And that was, like, it felt super invasive, but it was whatever. And for the longest time, I think all of 2020, and maybe even into 2021, we had, like, this rule where, like, you can't have social gatherings of more than 4 people, more than 5 people, like, more than 6 people. So it was, like, Brown's versions of, like, the pods, but on an entire country. And so, like,
Insane.
it was pretty different. But yeah, I think when I did come back, and, after 2 years of living back with my parents again, which was nice because I got to reconnect with my family and, like, help my brothers while they finish high school. Like, that was nice, but it was also really, really different to be able to come back. I remember the first time I landed in the U.S. after 2 years, like, no one was wearing masks. And that was big for me just because, like, in Korea, people kept wearing masks, like, late into 2022.
I see.
It's still, like, it was such a big thing. And so, like being able to come out of the plane and just, like, see no one wearing it was, like, really different. And I was like, damn, like, I'm, like, back in the States again.
Yeah.
That was really nice. Yeah. And also, just, like, about online school, I think that was just, like, such a weird thing for me. It was really, really difficult because I don't know, like, were you, like, when you left, did you go back, like, home immediately?
Yeah, I went home, but the thing is, so my dad, he was sick before, so him getting COVID would have been, like, the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
So that's why we had to be, like, super, super cautious. And also, so it was like I felt like I was, okay, the way I operate is I like to keep my study spaces and my life living spaces very different.
Okay.
I'm the type of person, I'm never, like, regardless of what it is, I'm never going to study in my room. If there's a snowstorm, I'll still make it to the library because my room is like a relaxation
Oh, me too. Yeah.
spot, And so I think it felt kind of weird not having that, and also not being able to go to office hours. Like, my entire education, office hours saved me. I didn't realize this, but, like, now looking back, I mean, not even just because, you get help, whatever. It's because you meet people in your classes and you kind of work through things hand in hand. Like, especially for engineering, we had this professor who did, like, the introductory sequence, and he used to say, like, nobody can do engineering on their own. Like, you're never going to be an engineer on your own. Like, you always have to work with a team. So I encourage you to work together with, like, all your homeworks and all your assignments, because it's just going to be better for everybody. And that's really how it used to be. And obviously when you go home, it's so much harder. There's a time difference and whatever, and you can't really, like, hang out with people and do homework, and you're kind of, like, left alone with this long MATLAB code, and you just don't know what to do. Yeah, so online school was just, because school's not just about learning, right? Like, that's cool. We want to learn, but we also want to like hang out and do whatever. So yeah, I
Yeah.
just think I thought it was like, I mean, obviously it was lonely because you get sent home and you go through all these changes, but also like, I don't know. I guess I didn't think I don't like learning alone. If that makes any sense. So I think maybe also that was a reason as to why I was like, huh, maybe this isn't like, maybe if I can avoid it, I should.
How was the time difference for you?
7 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, I was telling you I took this like theater course and we were doing like these I don't know, kind of like meditation sequences.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like midnight, and the professor, she'd be like, okay, how did that meditation make you guys feel? And I'm like sleepy. Like right now, it's almost 1 a.m. and I just want to sleep. But for them, obviously, it's like afternoon or whatever. So that was kind of odd. Yeah, and I just felt weird because some of my lectures, they had just uploaded recordings of the lectures from previous years, and I mean, it was felt like very Khan Academy vibes.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
is not supposed to be.
Yeah, 100%.
So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
because for me it's like it's literally day and night, and so like when school starts, it's it's like the earliest class I had was like midnight, and
Oh
so
my
like
God.
and so it was just like really rough, and it really felt demotivating because also
Yeah.
like because I also like kind of separating work and home. I feel like I don't do that as much as I should, just because I'm lazy. But I do agree. It felt weird, like being, especially in Korea, because like I view Korea at that point because it's been 2 years of college. Like I view
Right.
Korea as like vacation, and so it made
Mm-hmm.
less sense for me to do any work while I'm not at school.
I see.
And so it was such a weird like dissonance that I felt like I could not handle, and like I was going to take a leave. Like I always knew, just because if you're a Korean dude, you're gonna have to go to the army.
Right.
And
2 years.
2 years. Well, it's essentially 2 years, just because like the fastest is 18 months, and that's like regular army. My eyes are really really bad, and so I was declared physically unfit, and so they sent me to like boot camp, and then like I just worked in an office job for 21 months. So it's like essentially 2 years, but pretty much. Wait, what was I talking about?
Sorry. 2 years of leave.
Yeah.
Hold on. Wait. Retract.
Wait, no, like work.
Oh yeah. You were working off. No. But you have Korea is vacation.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So Korea's vacation, and so like, I always knew that I would take a leave.
Yes. Right.
And I think for me, similarly, like I think COVID made that decision a lot easier. So I think we got kicked out in Marchish, out of Brown, and then I went directly to Los Angeles because I have family there, and so I stayed there for a couple of weeks because, again, Korea was like the second country to be hit.
Right.
But then I remember like towards the end of March, this is like prime quarantine vibes. But the end of March, my mom started freaking out that like the U.S. is gonna close its borders, like the U.S. is gonna close its airports, like you have to leave the country now if you ever want to go home. And so she was panicking. And so I was like, okay. And so I hopped on a plane, like I think April 1st, and then I got back, and then I enlisted in June.
I see.
So it was like a very like quick process. Like I finished online school for like the rest of April and a little bit into May, and then like kind of chilled with my friends who were also back from like the last bit of May until I enlisted. But it was weird just because like I felt like for me the decision was never something that I consciously made. It was something that was low-key made for me. And it was just convenient to take it at this time. And like this is not to say that it didn't work out, because I think there isn't a better time to have gone. But I don't know, like for me, like the leave taking situation is always going to be, I feel like, a little bit different from others, because it's something that I never like really struggled to like
Decide on.
It was
Right.
something that was like, when should I go?
I see.
But I think it worked out. And yeah, I mean, My experience there, I felt like it was pretty simple. Like it was nice to be back at home for 2 years, and I think similar to you, it gave me a lot of time to just really think about what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, like because I took my leave after my second year,
Mm-hmm.
it's like when I come back, I'm a junior. And I think, everyone says, like your junior summer is very important. And then like your like senior, after senior year, like like if you want to work, you got to work. If you're going to grad school, you could go to grad school. If you take another gap, like there's like so many different paths, but it's the end of college.
Yeah.
And so like I think for me, I felt the rush to really like decide what I want to do. And I think the 2 year gap was a really good break for me to just like settle down and like think about what I want to do, which is really nice. Yeah.
That's true. And I feel like, or I don't know, at least for me, I think, you have this goal when you're trying to get into college, and then you strive, or I don't know, maybe I'm not the most ambitious person, but like I like to see things as they come. And so I see the first goal, and that's like getting into college, right?
Yeah.
So we get into college, and then I come to Brown, and I think I felt a little lost in terms of, this was my goal now. I reached it now. Like, what do I do?
100%.
And
Yeah.
and I think so I lived in the same tiny like suburb for like 18 years of my life, right?
Yeah.
I hung out with the same people. I went to what do they call that? Like kindergarten through and the high school, that
Yeah.
type of school.
K through 12. Yeah.
K through 12, and there was like 100 people in my class. Like
Yeah.
that was it,
Yeah.
And so I always liked to. I mean, I loved it. Don't get me wrong, but it felt like a bubble. Like I grew up in a bubble basically, and I thought I was ready to come here and like explore the world and whatever. Because I have an older brother who came to the U.S. to study. He's also doing engineering, so I was like, okay, I got this. Like he's giving me some tips, but that's not really how it is. When you actually experience things for yourself, especially you're still kind of young, and I think for us also there's the added thing of like, we're like moving across the world, so it's
100%.
not that easy, and you don't necessarily like, sometimes things happen, you don't really have like family to call, or like there's a time difference, or you don't want to make your parents worry about you because they're already worried.
Yeah.
So there's just like these added little like nuances that I think you don't realize, but sometimes they take a toll on you. And sometimes like I don't know, for me it was also really beneficial to take a leave in terms of like accepting these things and saying, okay, like maybe I struggled a little with this, but like that's totally fine. And I think sometimes we don't like to admit when things go wrong, because we're all positive thinker, or that's how I am at least, or how I used to be. And like I didn't like thinking, oh, like this is hard or this is tough, because I have to toughen up and take it.
Yeah.
But I learned not to, not always, or just be fine if some things aren't going the way I like originally imagined them to go. Anyways, so yeah, like overall, I think leave, and just like the added year of like, I guess, experience and kind of wisdom, and we're kind of crafting ourselves here, and that it really helps when even coming to the US, you're exposed to different things, so that makes you grow up a little. And then you have the army experience. I like moved to Germany. That also adds something, because you're exposed to different simulations, I guess, and you like test out yourself.
Right.
So I think just like, it was nice to take time to do that, because it's hard sometimes, like managing college and all classes and courses and all the other stuff that's going on while doing like internal work.
Yeah, and like I think exactly as you said, I feel like there's a lot of experiences that you're going to take away from school that are going to be just as, if not even more beneficial than, experiences that you can have here. And I think it's equally valid. And so I think I agree. I think that like if I had not gone to the army, like just in general, I can't imagine entering the workforce at 22. Like it's like such a, like the more I think about that is scary to me. And so I feel like for me, I just personally wasn't ready to kind of get into the real world without having taken some time off to really think about, what option is best for me post-graduation. Like I want to be able to be more present and mindful while I'm also here, because I know that it's a short time. And I think when you're in college and like it's 4 years, that can feel like a long time to some people, but I think in the grand scheme of things, it's really not. And I think if you're always grinding, which college students, especially here at Brown, I feel like are a lot of the time, it's like one thing after the other. And I think you just kind of sometimes breeze by it without having been mindful enough to really think about and like appreciate the small things. And I think that's one of the biggest benefits of taking a leave, just because for me, I felt like I got to come back with a different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And it's from experiences that I would never have gotten had I stayed.
Yeah.
And so I think, I think I do really, really appreciate that.
Okay, so now I feel like we've talked a lot about why we've taken our leaves, how, that taking like how we felt during the leave.
Yeah.
What about after? Like coming back to Brown? Did you... Because I know myself, like I had concerns, right? Like, I mean, I was here freshman year, I like made a few friends, whatever, but then we kind of lost touch, and that was totally... That happens. You always lose touch with some friends. And I think coming back, I was a little nervous in terms of, like, who am I going to hang out with? Have people forgotten about me? And, like, it's fine if they have, but it's going to be, like, a little challenging. Because I do think, like, Brown's a small school, and, like, people... Small circles exist, I feel like sometimes you make your groups, and that's kind of who you stay with, which is fine, but also... I don't know. I guess, like, my experience with Brown prior to going, like, taking my leave was that it was more, like, groupy, kind of. And then Germany was, like, the complete opposite. You, like, see somebody on the street, you like their pants, and you're like, hey, I like your pants, let's be friends. And that's really how it all worked out for me.
Oh, nice.
So, I mean, it was pretty cool. We did a lot that, like, you make a few friends, then you go out, and then you talk to another friend group, and you just become a bigger friend group. It was very, I thought, inclusive and, like, accepting, and also super, like, open and welcoming. And I think sometimes here, I don't get that vibe. Maybe it was me. I don't know. But, yeah, so I had some concerns coming back. How did you feel?
Yeah, I think that was one of definitely the biggest concerns I've had. I was also concerned about, like, school. Like, I haven't used my brain like that in a pretty long time, and so I was, like, pretty stressed about that. But yeah, the social aspect is, I think, something that I think I definitely struggled with. Because, like, when you're not in the U.S., and, like, I mean, I do use English at home with, like, my brothers and, like, my friends, but, like, in general society, like, I don't speak English, and so I think just even the adjustment of, like, switching my brain back to just speaking English
this is so
everywhere,
true.
It was, I think, like, that's a big thing. And I think if you're not even, like, super 100% comfortable, using the lingo that's only used here, that makes socialization a little bit more difficult. And I think it was all things that I was stressing about when I came back. I think I got really lucky because I signed up to do a pre-orientation mentoring program for international students. Quick plug, IMP, and so I think that made the adjustment easier because I got to meet, other students here preschool, and so it's kind of like a little summer camp type of vibe, and I think you get really close to people that way. And so I think I got really lucky, but I think in general, yeah, it's definitely nerve-wracking. For me as well, I left after sophomore year, and so that means after 2 years of break, when I come back, my friends would have graduated,
Right.
the spring before I came back. And so it was super weird to see on Instagram, like, my friends post their graduation photos.
Yeah.
That was really weird because, like,
Wow.
literally, like, my housemates or, like, my roommates that I lived with, like, they have their cap and gown, like, they are in a very different stage of life. And I did catch up with them, I think, 2022, like, Labor Day weekend, like, so, like, the first, like, kind of break when you come back, right, last year. And so when I came back last year, and I saw them, and I think I was struck with, like, the biggest, like, damn, like, this is, like we're at different stages in our lives, just because a lot of them are in New York. And it's funny because, like, because it's Labor Day weekend, I'm sure that they all agreed to meet together, and, like, we like had like a rooftop kind of like gathering. It was really nice. But it's weird because it's not college. Like, it's like they're in the city. They all have their jobs.
Fully adulting.
And they all have great jobs. They're all making a decent amount of money. And, you know, they all have their own apartments. You know, they all have their way of living in New York.
Right.
But they still make time for each other on the weekends like it's college. And so it's like such a weird vibe because I was there not as, you know, like a working man, like I'm there as a student. And so it was like such a weird thing because like these were my peers, and now you know, they still are, but like I'm still a student and they're not. And so it was kind of a weird, like, in
terms of experience,
yes,
they were ahead, like time frame wise, they were ahead of you, I guess.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. And yeah, I think that was kind of a big shock, and I'm like, damn, like but I don't know, like it's also weird because I feel like a lot of the struggles that you have are only in your head, you know?
So true.
Yeah.
I'm like, I I think that literally the way you I mean, I think all in all, that was my biggest takeaway.
Yeah.
That I think sometimes I used to have a really like anxious personality. Like, not really. Like, I'm so down to like my tattoos. I have some tattoos, all of them spontaneous. I wouldn't care. But you know, if it's an assignment and I have it and it's in 2 weeks, I'm going to be stressing about it. And it's going to take me like 1 hour. Yeah. I don't know why I like literally lived that way. It was just, I was stressed. And I think it was all in my head. I think that, and like, you know, some other, even like social stressors, you know, you're like, I don't know, maybe you had the same thing, but you know, you meet some people, you don't know how to say hi. Do you say hi when you see them on the street? Like those types of small things.
Yeah, of course.
So annoying. Anyway, so I think that like when I came back, I really tried to like not stress out about things. And I think like it wasn't, I mean, it was like a conscious decision to stop stressing. And now I'm like super chill, maybe a little too chill, but I definitely prefer this over the other way around.
Right.
Because it's so much in your head, like nobody really cares about what you're doing. And also like your classes, like if you get like bad grades, whatever, that's fine. Big picture, it's all going to be okay, you know? And I think that's my reassuring thing. Like, even I was telling you before we did this podcast that I had this, like, take-home big assignment, right? Yeah. And, like, it stressed me out. I'm certain that I, like, made errors. You know, I made some assumptions that I made because I didn't know what else to do. And it's fine. Like, at the end of the day, I finished it. I did my best, and, like, it's okay. I think you don't realize this, especially in your first 2 years, I think, that everything is going to be okay. Yeah. You know, and I guess if anybody is listening and they're like starting out now, my biggest advice to you is like, take it easy. Yeah. You're stressed, go on a walk, take a breath, and like just chill. Listen to a good song. It's all going to be fine. Your assignment's going to still be there, or your problems are still going to be there in 10 minutes, but you can still approach them in a calmer manner. And like things pass. There's always cycles. Yeah. Like, you know, like problems that you had 2 weeks ago, you don't even remember them because there's something new that's popping up. Yeah. And somehow everything eventually is going to be okay.
Yeah. 100%. I think that's a very nice message. Yeah. I think I always like say like whatever happens, I think the assignment will get done. Yeah. And things get done, and like I don't mean that in like a, you know, leave it to the last minute because it'll get done, but like just like when I do get worried as well and I overstress about things, I think it always works out better than you ever think it will. And I think a lot of the times, like, it's not an easy thing to just be like, you know, just do it. But I also think it's reassuring in that, like, you know, whatever happens, you know, you'll be okay. And I think whatever got you to this point in the first place, like, it worked out. And so you should just trust in yourself, you know, to be able to, like, you know, make sure that things will get done in whatever fashion and for a good reason. So
exactly. And I also think with that, like, I guess this is more inspirational general talk, but I mean, you know what, it changes, like, your outlook often changes so many things, I feel, and sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes you make mistakes, and that's fine too. Like, I've learned to just accept things as they go and take every experience as something that I've learned from, like good and bad. Good things, obviously, they're nicer because, you know, they make you happy, but bad things happen. And sometimes, like, like it's good that you go through that, because I mean, I have a friend and she always says, you know, if you've experiencing the same thing over and over, sometimes that means that the universe is trying to teach you something, you know?
Wow.
And so it's not always the most comforting message, but I do believe that there's some truth to it, you know? So yeah, I don't know. I guess this is like a big, like, college is weird because you can, looking back now, I feel like I've grown up a little bit, but then I'm certain that in like 10 years I'm gonna be like, oh, I was such a baby. I didn't, like, I can't believe I thought I was like wise. So yeah, I don't know. It's fun though. I think sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and we really, like, it's good. Ambition is good, you know, like, let's strive to work hard and all that good stuff. But also, like, let's take it easy sometimes. When the weather's nice, like, I like to forget about all my assignments for a little bit and just enjoy the sunshine.
Just enjoy the sun, yeah.
And I didn't think I did that a lot, and I think so many things, like, sometimes you feel like you have to allocate so much time for a certain task, but you don't really, you're not the most efficient when you're allocating a lot of time. Rather, I found that, like, I'd rather, you know, schedule 2 hours of self-care and 1 hour of, I don't know, Netflix chill time, and then 3 hours of assignment work, rather, like, instead of 6 hours of working, but not really fully working, you know?
Yeah, I've, like, heard it's a thing where it's, like, instead of scheduling what you should do, like, as most people do in their events, like, on their calendar, you should schedule the time that you have off. And so you know that that's the time that you should take off, and the rest, not necessarily, like, work every single second, but, like, you know that you have this amount of time to work, and so that kind of, like, it's, like, the flip of, like, assigning things. Well, okay. Honestly, I feel like this is a really good spot to end.
Yeah.
If anyone's listening, thank you so much for listening. We hope to make a lot of these in the future. Thank you, Mira.
Thank you, Collin.